Today on Notsam Wrestling, LA Knight is in the world title picture after Seth Rollins cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase. Roman Reigns makes a surprise appearance on Raw, but how long is he actually back for? John Cena was a babyface, is a babyface, still a babyface, always going to be a babyface. Brock Lesnar is back. Who's Cody Rhodes' next opponent? And so much more. This is Notsam Wrestling. Welcome to Notsam Wrestling, and let's unpack what we're seeing. After SmackDown, and then SummerSlam Night 1, and then SummerSlam Night 2, and then the Raw after SummerSlam, we've got a whole new world on our plate. And I think it all comes to a culmination when you look at what happened at the end of Monday Night Raw this week. So, of course, at SummerSlam, we have this amazing moment where CM Punk beats Gunther. I thought the match was an absolute classic. They go for 30 plus minutes. CM Punk is finally able to beat a bloodied Gunther. I thought there was the genius of that match was at the very end when Gunther gets struck and he is bleeding and he doesn't know how to handle it. Gunther is this amazing character that is seemingly invulnerable, but if he gets hit hard and he doesn't know how to operate. When he sees that he's bleeding, he starts panicking. He starts going all over the place. He completely loses strategy. And when he loses strategy, he loses matches. CM Punk wins the match. Seth Rollins, of course, with the second heist of the century. There have been two heists this century, and Seth Rollins has both of them. Cashes in after throwing his crutches aside. And he is the World Heavyweight Champion after only 5 minutes of CM Punk holding that title in tears. After another dream came true, Seth Rollins spoiled that dream. As Rollins put it, CM Punk did not even have time to put side plates on. Gunther out of action. He's reportedly going to get some kind of surgery, maybe a nose surgery or something like that. There's something going on that he's going away for a little while. But Seth Rollins has taken control of the World Heavyweight title, and it seems like everything that we were talking about in the weeks, even, coming off of Money in the Bank, leading into Saturday night's main event, and then SummerSlam, watching this world title picture expand, it's all resulted in the moment that we're in now. Now that Seth Rollins has that world heavyweight title, he's looking down the barrel at Roman Reigns because of the rivalry with Roman Reigns, at CM Punk, the omnipresent, ultra, not villain, nemesis, I guess, of Seth Rollins and Seth Rollins to Punk. LA Knight, because LA Knight was the last guy to beat Seth Rollins. Sami Zayn, because Sami Zayn is on a quest to get that championship. And that's just what's right in front of us. You could throw Jey Uso into that mix. You could throw a lot of people into that mix now that Seth Rollins is the champion. So it was interesting to see not only who Seth Rollins would face, but who Seth Rollins would be opening Monday Night Raw. Since this group formed the night after WrestleMania, the expressed goal has always been to have the World Heavyweight Championship, because with the World Heavyweight Championship comes this perceived power. And that power is what Seth Rollins is after, and that power is what he has now. And there were a lot of people that were very concerned about LA Knight. There were a lot of people that brought up LA Knight to me in my comments, in person, all over the place, that said, well, now LA Knight's going to get buried. Even on Raw, they thought that LA Knight was just being used, where he would get beat, and then all of a sudden it would be about Seth Rollins and CM Punk again. And people were upset. There's a lot of these days in professional wrestling amongst fans, anticipatory anxiety. This idea that we get upset over things that haven't happened yet because we think they are going to happen. But oftentimes they either do not happen or something else happens that we didn't see coming. So sometimes you just have to sit back and allow it to happen. At least give them 48 hours to see where it goes, because clearly they're making huge reference to the fact that Seth Rollins' pretend injury happened in his match with LA Knight. And LA Knight, has a problem with it. LA Knight comes out on Monday Night Raw and asks for a title shot immediately. He wants a title shot on Monday Night Raw. And you might ask, well, how does LA Knight deserve a title shot? And the answer is he beat the champion. Even if you said, okay, well, you have to prove you can beat Seth Rollins. He already proved he can beat Seth Rollins. And you could say, well, Seth Rollins was faking it. Seth Rollins was faking an injury. He let LA Knight win. Regardless, LA Knight was the victor. And that's the consequence of allowing somebody to beat you in a pro wrestling ring. If you have a plan for a bigger victory, and part of that plan is allowing this guy to beat you, well, guess what? You're going to run into consequences. And that's exactly what Seth Rollins ran into. Adam Pearce made it official. We got the match. LA Knight versus Seth Rollins. And I was very happy that they brought out LA Knight immediately, because he wasn't a part of SummerSlam and he wasn't part of the build to SummerSlam. So you almost wondered, like, it was after Seth Rollins' injury was treated as real. It was almost like LA Knight got the victory and then they moved him away. And then there were rumors and, speculation and all this stuff. But LA Knight comes out, demands the match. He gets the match. They have the match. And the match is Seth Rollins versus LA Knight. CM Punk hasn't been seen all Monday Night Raw. Roman Reigns hasn't been seen since he got speared at SummerSlam. Won the match. Jay got the pin, but Roman got speared. LA Knight doesn't have the opportunity to win the match because CM Punk jumps out of the crowd and interferes in the match. I guess technically Seth Rollins won by DQ, maybe, unless it was a no contest, because CM Punk just got involved. And for a moment, there was tension. LA Knight clearly didn't like what CM Punk had done. LA Knight clearly didn't like that CM Punk had interrupted his World Heavyweight title match. Even though CM Punk's problem was not with LA Knight, it affected LA Knight, and LA Knight didn't like that. He made it clear. Out comes Team Braun. They start beating up everybody. Now they're outnumbered. LA Knight goes down. Seth Rollins goes down. And the whole crew of them, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Paul Heyman, all leave feeling victorious over these baby faces that they've left at their feet. And they turn to look at the camera, and their backs are to the Tron, and the credits have already rolled that say Triple H and Lee Fitting. But guess what? Roman Reigns' music hits, and that Tron lights up. And if you look at Paul Heyman's face, before any of them realized it was Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman is the first to realize that it's Roman Reigns, and it looks like he has had an accident in his suit. He is an absolute terror over what has just happened in his body, because Roman Reigns is coming out. And it proves that as much as Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins may be confident, Paul Heyman is not fully confident, because Paul Heyman knows Roman Reigns better than anybody else. And he knows the music better than anybody else too, because he recognized it before anybody else. But I loved that visual, because I almost felt like, okay, on one end, they're leaving this episode of Monday Night Raw, the Raw after SummerSlam, very similar to how they left the Raw after WrestleMania. And that's very interesting. That's cool. But at the same time, it just felt like it was leaving on a dud. The fact that it was like so just the heels come in, they beat up LA Knight, they beat up CM Punk. LA Knight's match ended in a non-finish. He really didn't get justice for anything. And it's like, that's it. There should be something more. It was almost like at SummerSlam. This John Cena Cody Rhodes match is amazing, but you're feeling like there should be something more, and then boom, the Beast music hits. Here you're feeling like I was feeling like there should be something more, and then boom, Roman Reigns music hits, and the Tron lights up, and Heyman soils himself, and everybody turns around, and Roman appears. And at first, Roman is cleaning house. Roman takes out Seth Rollins. Roman takes out Braun Breaker. Roman takes out Bronson Reed, and he's taking out these guys with that sweep double leg that he does now. It's amazing. He doesn't push in. He doesn't use too much effort. He just takes his hands, kind of scoops under the leg, and almost like nothing, almost disrespectfully, just flaps the guy over on their back. And he does it to Braun Breaker and takes him out. He does it to Bronson Reed, and as he's beating down Bronson Reed, boom, he's the victim of a Seth Rollins stomp. Now, in this moment, I'm counting. There's 1, 2, 3 heels. There's 1, 2, 3 baby faces. I'm going, oh, I wonder if they're doing a strange Bedfellows 6-man tag scenario, maybe for Clash in Paris. Maybe that's where they're kind of tiptoeing towards, where it would be Roman Reigns, LA Knight, and CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker. Except, even though this is a big heel group, that's a super babyface team. That's a babyface team of all potential world champions, but none of them get along. And we explored that at the end of the segment. But then, after the stomp, we have Roman get picked up. He gets a spear from Braun Breaker. Then he gets dragged over the ropes. and he is the victim of like 3 or 4 tsunamis. And then after those tsunamis are complete, he does it again, this Bronson Reed. He won't stop. He's relentless. He takes the tribal chief sneakers again. He takes the shoes after wearing Roman's shoes around his neck all week long as a trophy. He takes another pair of Roman Reigns shoes. To see the videos of Roman Reigns leaving Monday Night Raw after the show went off the air and he's just in his socks, you don't want to see this for your tribal chief. I don't want to see this for my tribal chief. It's horrible. Bronson Reed is an absolute menace. Now, it is interesting that Roman Reigns doesn't wear his best sneakers on Bronson Reed days. You know, Bronson Reed has a pair of Spizikes and a pair of mids. It's not exactly Travis Scott's and OG ones, but regardless, it's not exactly getting the brick 4s stolen from him, but regardless, it's the spirit of what's going on. Bronson is not doing this because they're a nice pair of shoes. Bronson is doing this because they're Roman Reigns sneakers. And now the Rollins group stands strong. Now the Rollins group stands victorious. And now you're asking all these questions. And even as they're leaving, they get out of there. And then after Raw is off the air, their social video of Roman and LA Knight and CM Punk leaving. And LA Knight's yelling at CM Punk. And LA Knight is going, I respect what you're doing. Wrong place, wrong time. He's mad at CM Punk. He's pissed. CM Punk ruined his World Heavyweight Championship match. CM Punk is pissed at Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns was late showing up. Maybe we would have beat them if you weren't late. And then Roman Reigns, well, he calls him a old bitch ass, something to that effect. Old ass bitch, maybe, something like that. Yeah, I think it was old ass bitch that he calls him. He doesn't know shit, old ass bitch. I mean, it's bad. It's not for the children. It's hilarious, but it's not for the children. So now we've got LA Knight doesn't like Punk. Punk doesn't like Roman. Roman doesn't like Punk. I would imagine Roman's not thrilled with LA Knight, and LA Knight probably still remembers having to battle Roman during the Bloodline era. So these guys hate each other. Also, even though Roman walked out of Monday Night Raw, that was in a social video. When I was watching the TV show, it felt like this may be a reason to take Roman Reigns off television for a little bit. It's similar to how they took Roman Reigns off television after WrestleMania. I wouldn't be surprised if Roman Reigns goes away for a while. I went from thinking this is a 6-man tag scenario to thinking maybe it's more likely a triple threat scenario. Maybe this is the type of thing where it's Punk, LA Knight, and Seth Rollins in this match. But a big point to this is that LA Knight is involved in whatever scenario I concocted. I mean, you could obviously go to CM Punk and Seth Rollins and just do it, but realistically, LA Knight's story is still just as much a part of this as any. LA Knight, because of what happened at Saturday night's main event and what was happening leading to Saturday night's main event, LA Knight, after the cash-in, is officially in that world title picture. LA Knight main-evented Monday Night Raw this week in a World Heavyweight Championship match. LA Knight's, he's got to be on the road to competing for that title again. And that's a good thing for LA Knight. And it's a good thing for storytelling because it means they're not forgetting where they came from or how this all built up. Did Seth Rollins really sacrifice that match to LA Knight in order to do this? And he's talking about Plan B a lot. This, they said, was Seth's Plan B. You remember when Paul Heyman talked about activating Plan B, and Bronson said, no, I got this. Braun Breaker said, no, I got this. It seems like Plan B was always to reveal that the injury was faked. It seems like they faked the injury on purpose so they could execute a Plan B whenever they had to. Now, LA Knight's taking credit for some of the injury faking that maybe Seth didn't want to deal with LA Knight. And, he does bring up an okay point. Like, the nature of the Money in the Bank briefcase means that you don't have to fake an injury. You don't have to fake an injury. And if you're cashing in on anybody else, faking an injury has nothing to do with it because anybody else wouldn't be expecting him. I think the fact that Rollins cashed in on CM Punk, his ultimate rival, is why you would fake the injury, because otherwise CM Punk would be waiting for the cash in because it'd be obvious that Seth was going to do this. So I think that would be why, the logic behind why that character would have to fake an injury, even though They already had that Money in the Bank briefcase. But I do love there that little thing that happened a few weeks ago where Heyman talks about Plan B is paid off. And Plan B, of course, goes back to Seth Rollins, being in the Shield and turning on Roman Reigns and Triple H having a Plan B. Well, Seth Rollins has learned from that and concocted this Plan B that way. But yeah, I mean, if I was a betting man, which the NFL season is starting before long, and I will be, but I think you're more likely to see that triple threat in Paris. I think it feels like they're going to execute on the tension between LA Knight and CM Punk. And I also think that it's a good way to keep the title on Seth Rollins while still having these strong baby faces in the mix. Because realistically, what makes Seth Rollins' group strong is that they're all on the same page. They're all aware of the plan. And even though Seth said, that only Becky and Paul Heyman knew, and maybe that will come back to haunt him, right? Seth saying only Paul Heyman and Becky Lynch knew that this was happening could mean that Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed did not know. Maybe Paul Heyman just said there is a Plan B when it's time, and Braun Breaker didn't know what the Plan B was before he stopped Paul Heyman from executing Plan B. I don't think we'll know right now. But I would imagine if they weren't informed of the Plan B, that eventually that could be something that either Bronson Reed or Braun Breaker, more likely Braun Breaker, I think, have a problem with, being left in the dark. Nobody wants to be left in the dark when your team has a plan. Or Seth just misspoke and the team was aware of what Plan B was the whole time. Either way, we have an answer to what Plan B was. And I think that the idea of having this triple threat match where not only can Seth escape without really giving either CM Punk or LA Knight that concrete loss, the idea that you've got two people going after Seth Rollins, but they can't get on the same page because they both individually want to be the one to beat Seth Rollins is the story of the match that would allow Seth to come out with the championship. So I would imagine that's where they're going, unless Roman Reigns is not going away. Unless Roman Reigns is sticking around, in which case it could be a 3-on-3. And I think a 3-on-3 would be cool. I also think a fatal 4-way would be cool, We'll see. But my money's on the triple threat. Speaking of Rollins telling Becky Lynch, that was another question that I had coming out of SummerSlam. So the finish at SummerSlam in the Women's Intercontinental Championship match is Bayley comes in. Lyra didn't ask her to be there. It's no DQ. She accidentally hits Lyra. Becky takes advantage of it, pins Lyra Valkyria. Becky keeps the championship. Lyra is now no longer ever allowed to challenge Becky Lynch for that title as long as Becky Lynch is the champion, which is bad news for Lyra Valkyria. And that played itself out with a backstage interaction between Lyra Valkyria and Bayley, where Lyra basically said she doesn't want Bayley anywhere near her life anymore. And Bayley was kind of left not knowing what to do. At some point, Bayley's got to turn, right? I mean, and I think that that'll be good for Bayley when she does to get that refresh on her. But I mean, that's got to be where it's going, right? I would imagine. But then, I mean, more than that, because you've got something there. At some point, you're going to go forward with Lyra Valkyria versus Bayley. But Lyra Valkyria and Bayley are not the champions. So what's in the future for the Intercontinental Champion? And coming into Raw, that was kind of what I was wondering, right? It felt like the story between Lyra and Becky now shifts to Lyra and Bayley, but Becky's doesn't really need to be a part of that story anymore, especially since Lyra can't challenge her. And we've seen multiple Lyra-Becky matches now. So what's next for Becky? And I was racking my brain, and I couldn't come up with who that next challenger might be. And I was surprised. First of all, Becky's new music, I think, is going to sound great. Well, it sounded great in the stadium at SummerSlam. I think it's good stadium music. But I do think that people are going to have to get used to not singing her old song. Becky had one of the most recognizable themes in wrestling. So I think it's going to take some getting used to people not going, whoa. But if Becky is really trying to be a heel, I get why somebody would go, I don't want people singing along to my song. It's like when Shinsuke first turned heel and they added like lyrics to his song. And really, I think the reason they added those lyrics is so people stop singing the song. Because you couldn't understand the lyrics anymore, so you're not just going to sing the melody like you used to. And they wanted people to stop singing the song because Shinsuke's a bad guy now, so why would you sing the bad guy's song? I think Seth, it still kind of works. It's big enough. It's part of the act. But I could see why Becky would want to do it. However, speaking of recognizable music, as Becky is saying, I'm done with Lyra Valkyria, but, I don't know who my next opponent is going to be. You Can Look But You Can't Touch comes out. Here comes Nikki Bella, who it's interesting, ever since Liv got injured and kind of put a monkey wrench in the plans for Saturday night's main event, what is Nikki Bella doing here question, I think has been big. I think there was a minute where we thought maybe it would be Nikki and Stephanie Vaquer versus maybe the Secret Hervis, maybe Piper and Chelsea, maybe something like that, but that didn't really come to fruition. So you're like, what's Nikki Bella's role in the WWE right now? And we got the answer. Nikki Bella comes out to answer Becky Lynch's Intercontinental Championship challenge. And man, this segment didn't have to be as good as it was, but it was a great segment. And also, this segment is a one-on-one for how to make things feel personal but stay professional. Sometimes, like was the case leading up to WrestleMania, wrestlers are taking personal digs at each other, but it's not something that the other one knows is coming. It's not something that was in the script. It's not something whatever. And then it ends up getting wonky and uncomfortable. And even if you're trying to go for real, even if you're trying to get the reaction of, I can't believe she said that, you don't want wonky, uncomfortable real. You want professional real. And that's what we got with Becky Lynch when they're going back and forth and Nikki is saying she's disappointed in Becky, and then Becky is saying that she's the one who got Nikki Bella removed from the cast of Happy Gilmore. She's the one that got all of Nikki Bella's scenes cut in Happy Gilmore 2, which is hilarious because Nikki Bella was public about the fact that she found out at the premiere that all of her scenes in Happy Gilmore 2 got cut. You can still see her. Ironically, she's playing Becky Lynch's caddy in the movie, Becky Lynch's character. But she was public about not being happy that her scenes were cut. And so the idea that Becky Lynch is taking credit and going no, I got stroke. And she's adding into basically what this character is. This character is Eminem saying, I am whatever you say I am. This character is Becky Lynch reading negative replies that she was getting last time she was at WWE about being selfish, about keeping the top spot, about holding other people down, and turning it into this character, going okay, if that's who you think I am, that's who I'm going to give you. And so now she's in one breath saying, I don't hold anybody down, and in another breath saying, I literally got you removed from this movie. And you go, yeah, that's exactly what she's being accused of. That's exactly what Nikki Bella was accusing her of. And then Nikki Bella, says, all this bravado is a lie. You're uncomfortable in your own skin. You lie just like your husband. And Becky says, don't bring up my hot husband. And then Becky drops the bomb. And she said, by the way, me and my husband are one of the best wrestling couples in the world. I mean, that would be you, but... And everybody goes, oh. And then Becky says, you can't see him anymore. Oh, and the crowd goes nuts. I tweeted out a photo of the reaction of the audience, just absolutely insane. But it wasn't done maliciously. It wasn't done so that Nikki Bella was thrown off her game. It was done to build a story. Because all of a sudden, we went from, I didn't even associate Nikki Bella and Becky Lynch together, to, oh my God, this is going to be great. I want to see this match. I'm assuming this will go to Paris because next week we've now got Becky Lynch versus Maxine Dupree. Now, Maxine, or I believe Sweet Cheeks is what Becky Lynch called her, I don't think it's an Intercontinental Championship match. So what I would absolutely do, and I think, Becky is low-key, kayfabe, low-key. Becky is clearly on this run doing heavy work to make the people around her better. I mean, you look at what Lyra was doing before WrestleMania and you look at what Lyra is doing now. You tell me how into what, I mean, Lyra's always been a great wrestler. And Lyra's had some great moments. But when she grabs a microphone, are you more interested now than you were before WrestleMania? The answer is yes. Because a great story has been told between her and Becky Lynch, and it's been entertaining, and she's held her weight in there. And I think the same thing is now happening with Becky and Nikki Bella. And on the way there, we have this match with Maxine. Now, assuming this is not a title match, and it shouldn't be a title match, I think absolutely you get Nikki Bella interfering, and Maxine Dupree beats Becky Lynch. Nikki Bella causing the distraction. Becky Lynch is furious, but Maxine Dupree gets that victory. And then you've got this wonderful scenario where Becky Lynch, you know, everybody knows it's because Nikki Bella interfered, got involved, caused the distraction. Everybody knows Becky Lynch would have won. But the reality is that going forward, Maxine Dupree, she's not going to get a title shot. It's not going to go any further with Becky than that because Becky doesn't need to get her win back. But now you've got Maxine Dupree with a victory over Becky Lynch, and you've added fuel to the fire of Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella, which I think is amazing. I think that by the time we get to Paris, if we keep up on the track that we started on Monday night, then we're in for something really, really cool. You know, and one promo can make all the difference. One promo made all the difference here with Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella, and one promo made all the difference with John Cena. Now on SiriusXM, even Broski himself, Matt Cardona, was like, I don't really get it. I don't know how John Cena can just be a babyface after one promo. And the simple answer to can John Cena be a babyface after one promo is ask the buildings that he's in. Ask the audience. After one promo in Newark, they were cheering John Cena. Every single person in that building was. After one promo in Newark, John Cena went to MetLife Stadium. And I mean, that, like I said, that match was a masterpiece. And that started it started with Cody's entrance, because Cody's entrance was spectacular with the Dusty quote and the new helmet and the coming down and everything. And Cody, like, still being that baby face, but finding that mean streak, because this was going to be a fight. And John Cena coming out and starting with the black screen with the white text. And then when that color lit up, when it lit up blue, the crowd went absolutely bonkers. I mean, hook, line, and sinker, it worked. And I think that it is deserved enough. I think that it's okay that it all happened in one promo. It's surprising that it all happened in one promo. But number one, I think we've now got the rest of August, September, October, November, and December. I think we want as much time. If we're getting Cena as a babyface, which, you know, I had said from the beginning that I'm sure that he would leave as a babyface. I think a lot of people were. Then why not get as many days as we can with Cena as a babyface? But also, he referenced how this all happened. And he referenced it after the episode of Unreal that explained how it all happened. WWE on their social account put up the clip of Triple H explaining that this idea came to turn John Cena heel. And then he called The Rock, and he called Nick Khan, and he called Travis Scott, and he called Cody Rhodes. Then he called John Cena, and John Cena was okay with it. And you're going, okay, and then and that's real life. That's the, oh no, you're exposing the business, this is a bad thing. But then John Cena is able to go on TV and say, I've flushed my reputation down the toilet because of one man's idea for shocking TV. I think ultimately one man's idea for shocking TV is going to be the man that was in the ring with him, The Rock. But I think that realistically we can buy into this because we saw how it all happened on the Unreal show. And so the idea that we're already not ignoring Unreal, or the fact that most of the audience that's watching Raw on Netflix has probably also watched Unreal on Netflix, knows what's going on and understands that reference, and understands the reference when John Cena says, Cody, I'm going to be the only platinum rapper that's whooping your ass. And then you go to SummerSlam and, like, not only is Cena playing the hits, but he's looking at the audience as he's doing stuff. I'm doing this to Cody to beat him, but I'm also doing this because I know you'd like to see it. Is this something you'd like to see? And the audience says, yeah. And Cena says, okay, then we'll do it. And the audience doesn't even have to be chanting tables. John Cena goes and grabs a table and goes, would you like to see a table? And the audience goes, yes, of course we'd like to see a table. We have that spectacular moment where John Cena is coming up the stage with Cody draped over his back. And then after Cody wins the match, John Cena and Cody embrace. And John Cena whispers in Cody's ear. And a passing of the torch. And you know, that I think the phrase passing of the torch is passed around a lot. You know, you cite it. They say John Cena passed the torch to Roman Reigns when Roman beat him. They say, you know, The Undertaker passed the torch to Roman Reigns first at WrestleMania 32, then in the tag match later on. They say, like, all this stuff. I think a true passing of the torch comes when somebody already is the guy. And the greatest puts them through an amazing match and says, okay, you're the guy. If the torch has been passed, then it means the next night, you're the person. You're the man. And I think that was the case with Andre and Hogan. I think that was the case to an extent with Hogan and The Rock, but that really wasn't the passing of the torch that people think it was because Hogan hadn't been in the WWE. Hogan wasn't there as part of the old guard. If anything, it was WWE proving they were better than the NWO. So you could say, people say that was a passing of the torch, but I don't know that it was a true passing of the torch. But there are very few that are like, you know, like Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. Ric Flair almost passed the torch to Shawn Michaels, but not the, okay, I was the top guy, now you're the top guy. It was more like Ric Flair is this legend of all legend, the wrestler's wrestler. And now that's the torch that he's passing to Shawn Michaels. In the Cody and Cena scenario, it's like John Cena, the greatest of all time, that's how he's introduced, is saying, now, Cody, I allow that to be the moniker that you fight for. And we realize after the match that John Cena is staying a babyface. This wasn't a swerve. This wasn't a vehicle to get Cody to turn heel. This wasn't any of that. John Cena said the old John Cena was coming back. John Cena acted like a babyface, and John Cena going forward is a babyface. And I said that while, yes, I think there's a strong possibility that John Cena is going to turn here, I also said that if he does turn, the one thing that's stopping me from like saying this is definitely a swerve is that if John Cena turned babyface and then it was a swerve and he turned heel again, I think it would be very difficult for him to then once again turn babyface before Christmas. And I think now people are just so ready for it. And I also think that people appreciated it so much and people loved it so much that it would be a mistake at this point to take that away from them. I really feel like SummerSlam was designed to make up for some of the things that fans didn't love about WrestleMania. And I think that they were successful in doing that. I think we got more of what we wanted out of SummerSlam than we did out of WrestleMania, including the big surprises, the hot angles. Brock Lesnar returns at SummerSlam, shows up out of nowhere. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw it coming. Of all the things that could happen in that match, this was not one of the things that people brought up. Brock Lesnar returns, F5's John Cena. Brock Lesnar, the same one that returned by F5ing John Cena at SummerSlam, 4 or 5 years ago. 4 years ago, probably. Brock Lesnar, the same Brock Lesnar that passed the torch in a way, or at least put his stamp on Cody Rhodes at the end of SummerSlam 2 years ago, the last time we saw him. Brock Lesnar, the same Brock Lesnar that tipped the ring over in a match with Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Brock Lesnar, the same Brock Lesnar that in 2002 won the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. I mean, that's Brock Lesnar, the same Brock Lesnar that squashed John Cena at the SummerSlam after WrestleMania 30. This guy owns SummerSlam. It's got to be between him and Bret the Hitman Hart, as far as maybe Randy Orton, as far as who's Mr. SummerSlam, right? But Brock is back, and I wonder, like, I'm very anxious to see why he says he's back. And I'm also anxious to hear when we're going to hear it. You know, when you look at Cena's schedule, I believe that the next few dates, I believe he's scheduled to be on 3 of the 4 SmackDowns leading up to Clash in Paris, including this week's SmackDown. It's this week's SmackDown, and then he's not on next week's SmackDown. And then I think the next 2 SmackDowns he's on, and then we're at Clash in Paris, which makes me wonder if we're getting the Brock match at Clash in Paris. If we're going that quickly to Brock. And maybe we have to, because I don't know that a September pay-per-view has been announced. After that, it's Perth, which you could definitely wait until Perth to do Brock versus Cena. But it's Perth, and then right after that is War Games. Like, you're losing dates fast. And you want John Cena to be babyface John Cena. The other question is John Cena going to beat Brock Lesnar? Is Brock Lesnar only coming back to have this John Cena program and then John Cena gets to beat Brock Lesnar? Or is Brock Lesnar back to the point that next year at SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar is going to be there because it's in his hometown? I mean, if Brock Lesnar has all this history with SummerSlam, and if we're having a Minnesota SummerSlam next year, it feels like Brock should have a pretty significant role at that SummerSlam. But I don't know. I mean, it was so shocking to see him that it really makes you think. Like, I don't think that it's going to have anything to do with Cody. You know, I don't think that it'll have anything to do with The Rock. I mean, it could. Like, The Rock sends Brock in because of what John Cena said, and John Cena, you know, stepped away from the plan. It's possible, but I doubt it. You know, at this point in his career, you don't really see Brock Lesnar as the soldier type. You see Brock Lesnar not really on assignment from anybody. Brock Lesnar is a prize fighter in and of himself. Now, if, you know, in the story is going to be that The Rock offered Brock Lesnar a ton of money to beat John Cena, then that feels like something Brock might do. But I kind of want to see Brock just go ahead and have Brock reasons for being here. I kind of want to see Brock here because he wants to be here because he does not like John Cena. He doesn't like something John Cena has done. He doesn't like maybe that John Cena went back to being a babyface. He does whatever it is. That's why I want to see Brock Lesnar here. Guys, we're going to get right back to it. But you know that sinking feeling when a crook has gotten a hold of your credit card info? Thank God you're never going to have to feel that again. When it comes to your money, you deserve to feel safe from fraud and in control. And that's exactly what you can expect with Cash App. When you get the Cash App card, not only do you get access to a ton of perks and benefits, like exclusive early access to nationwide concert pre-sales or discounts on popular brands, but you also have extra security with the power to instantly lock or unlock your card right from your phone in just one tap. If a suspicious transaction pops up on your card, Cash App has your back by automatically declining the purchase and sending you a heads up to confirm if it's you or not. Behind the scenes, you can rest assured knowing your account balance is protected by 24/7 fraud monitoring. And if something ever feels off, you have the ability to lock your card right from your phone in just one tap. With Cash App, you can spend, save, and live your life knowing your money is right where you left it, with advanced built-in security, protections you count on, and help when you need it. Spend with peace of mind today and order a Cash App card in the app or at cash.app/card. For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use my exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, just download Cash App, use my exclusive referral code, NOTSAM, in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Instant discounts provided by Cash App, a Block Incorporated brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. And we'll see. Maybe we'll get it. You know, it'll be interesting. And we also got to figure out what Cody Rhodes next move is going to be, because like I said, I thought the Cody Rhodes John Cena match was a masterpiece. I don't think that Cody Rhodes is involved with John Cena anymore. I don't think Cody Rhodes, at least right now, is involved with Brock Lesnar anymore. I think if Brock is staying around, Cody's a great opponent, and I think that all of a sudden, you've got this opportunity because Cody's program with Brock Lesnar, if you remember, it was Brock was a babyface, and after Cody lost at WrestleMania 40, or 39, after Cody lost at WrestleMania 39, it was going to be Brock and Cody as a tag team on Monday Night Raw, and then Brock turned on Cody. And if you recall, everybody said Cody's getting buried. He lost at WrestleMania, and then Brock Lesnar squashed him. He'll never recover from this. I'm talking about two-time WWE champion Cody Rhodes that will never recover from this. That's right. Nobody ever learns that lesson either. Cody got buried. He'll never recover from this. He's better than ever. Jay got buried. He'll never recover from this. He's better than ever. Oh, LA Knight's getting buried. They're just going to forget about him. He's in the world title picture right now. Nobody ever remembers. No, if I've been wrong before, if I was too quick to judge before, maybe I'm being too quick to judge now. Nobody thinks about that. But I think that eventually another Brock-Cody match would be good, especially if Brock is a heel, and maybe even as beautiful as it was. I mean, the ending was perfect to have Cody beat Brock Lesnar because if you remember, the series of matches was Brock wins by breaking Cody's arm. No, it was, I believe, Cody gets a lucky one over Brock. Brock beats Cody and breaks his arm. Cody gets a real victory over Brock. And that was the series. And then Brock raised Cody's arm. So I don't know if you want to mess with that, but that was also before Cody was champion. The idea that Cody would have to defend the championship against Brock Lesnar as he gets closer and closer to WrestleMania. Because as of right now, man, I mean, as much as I want to see Seth and Roman for that World Heavyweight title with the Paul Heyman and everything, man, I want to see Roman Reigns win the Royal Rumble. And I want the thinking to be that Roman Reigns is going to come for Seth Rollins' World Heavyweight title. But I want Roman Reigns to go back to that football field when he looked at Cody and said, "You're in my way in life." I want Roman Reigns to look at Cody as the guy who pinned him at WrestleMania 40. I want Roman Reigns to look at Cody in that title and realize that at WrestleMania this year, it will be 2 years since Roman was the WWE champion. I want Roman to remember that that's his belt. And I want Roman to go after Cody for that championship. Right now, today, if you're saying Roman's going to main event WrestleMania 42 with either Seth for the World Heavyweight or Cody for the WWE, and Seth makes more sense because he's the heel and Roman will be a babyface and it's Roman versus Seth and it's all good. I just think there's still, to this day, there may not be a bigger WrestleMania match with the current roster than Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. It's just the marquee match. And with as much as the dynamic has changed, I would love to see who the fans cheer for. I just think, that's it for me. And the idea that Cody would have to, during this title run between SummerSlam and WrestleMania 42, have to wrestle Brock Lesnar, have to wrestle Roman Reigns. Like now you're setting up Cody to really have this thing in front of him. And so with that said, who would be the first opponent for Cody Rhodes? I think I might have mentioned this on the emergency pod, but it still rings true. For me, I was surprised that Logan Paul pinned Jelly Roll, that Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre won that tag match. But Drew McIntyre walks out of SummerSlam with a victory because of it. I think Drew comes for Cody next. I think Drew is the first threat to Cody Rhodes. And now you've got a Cody Rhodes title reign where it's Drew, it's hypothetically War Games, it's hypothetically Brock Lesnar, it's hypothetically Roman Reigns. I mean, now you've got a Cody Rhodes who, if he's not, and then who knows? If he beats Roman Reigns, maybe then The Rock comes out. And now Cody's got, maybe The Rock gets involved at WrestleMania 42, and it's like, is he on Roman Reigns' side or is he on Cody Rhodes' side? Like, there's a lot that you can do with this. But I think with as many opponents as Seth Rollins has right now, and as many matches as you can make, high caliber, for Seth Rollins in the World Heavyweight title, I think that Cody Rhodes Because John Cena and Cody Rhodes, I think, should both stay baby faces. And I think that Cody Rhodes now has a title reign that is just mountain after mountain after mountain. And it's like, and that's what he had to do to get the title shot again, right? That it was Cody to tell his story. The first year leading up to WrestleMania 39, it was all about surviving the pec injury and then proving to the world that he was the man. He debuts at 38. Between 38 and 39, he fights Seth Rollins. He has to recover from a pec injury, which he displayed amazingly at Hell in a Cell that year. And then he has to prove that he's the man. He has to win the Royal Rumble. He has to do this. He has to do that. And then he gets to Roman Reigns and he loses. And I think the story between 39 and 40 was Cody having to beat mountains. It was Cody winning the tag team championship. It was Cody having to beat Brock Lesnar. It was Cody having to win the Royal Rumble again 2 years in a row. It was Cody having to convince the world that he, not The Rock, should get that title. So that once you got to WrestleMania and you got to Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, you had to cheer for Cody because of all the mountains that he had gotten past and the fact that it maintained his momentum. From losing at 39 all the way to 40, we still wanted Cody. And so that, I feel like, is the energy that I would like to recapture. And I think you can recapture it by just putting him in there with absolute monsters and putting him in scenarios where he might not win and somehow gets through. I think that's how Cody maintains the spot that he's in. And I think he can do it. And I think it could be really, really good. But I think it starts with Drew McIntyre. Because you can Drew McIntyre is one of those guys. You can absolutely see a world where Drew McIntyre is the WWE champion. We've kind of been waiting for it since the end of the pandemic. We've been waiting for Drew McIntyre to reclaim that spot. That's been really the root motivation of his entire character has been that was taken away from me. Well, let's get it back to him. Or at least convince the world that we might be getting it back to him. And then once Cody feels like he's got Drew out of the way, throw Brock Lesnar at Cody. Throw War Games at Cody. Throw everything at Cody. And just as the dust is settling, Roman Reigns wins the Royal Rumble, and he declares for Cody's championship instead of Seth's. Because then also at the Elimination Chamber, you can put together an Elimination Chamber match that is, Punk, LA Knight, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso. You have a chamber. You have enough baby faces that you can have a chamber full of people that all seem like realistic options to potentially main event night one with Seth Rollins. But honestly, I would consider right now, if they came to me and said, Sam, let's put it on the whiteboard. What are the main events for WrestleMania 42, night one and night two? I would say night two right now is Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. Night one is Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky for the Women's World Championship. Keep the title off Rhea. Put the title back on Io before WrestleMania. You got a long time before WrestleMania. And then night one, Rhea and Io main event that sucker. And you build it and you build it and you build it. That right now, if you put me in a corner and said, what are your main events for WrestleMania right now in the beginning of August of 2025? Where are we in the middle of April 2026? I say Roman and Cody, Rhea and Io. I mean, who knows, right? Like, you could have a situation where Grande Americano is on top, and we've got a faction now of Grande Americanos. I wonder if they are going to build it into a faction or if they're going to do the doink gimmick or what they're going to do. I think it's interesting that all the different Grande Americanos have different masks. Like, the masks are actually designed differently. So it makes me wonder if they're not all going to be Grande Americanos, if maybe there's going to be a Medio Americano, a Pequeño Americano, and then Grande Americano. I think that that's possible. I love the idea of, first of all, this will produce chicanery in the Fatal 4-Way for the AAA Mega Championship that they're doing at Triple Mania. which I don't want Grande Americano to become the AAA Mega Champion. I want Dominic Mysterio to become the AAA Mega Champion. But I could see a world where they put it on Grande because of all the other Grandes. I am very much looking forward to a future where Chad Gable returns and he sees there are 3 Grande Americanos and none of them are him. And he's just utterly confused by what the hell happened when he was gone. I think it could be spectacular. I'd love to know what you think about that, about Cody and John, about Seth, about Becky and Nikki. We got a ton of email this week because a ton of stuff happened. So let's get into it. Of course, the email address is notsamwrestling@gmail.com. That's notsamwrestling@gmail.com. You can also listen to Not Sam Wrestling live every day, Monday through Thursday, on Sirius XM 156. It's our live show, in addition to this podcast, on Pro Wrestling Nation 24/7. It's from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM 156 every day, Monday through Thursday. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/NotSamWrestling, and subscribe to us and leave reviews and everything on all audio platforms, Spotify, Apple, etc. Even if you watch the show on YouTube, if you could just go into your podcast app and also subscribe to it in the audio feed, it would be a big help. Let's get to these emails again. It's notsamwrestling@gmail.com. That's notsamwrestling@gmail.com. Let's see. Matt writes in, Matt from Boston. Hello to the podcast Tribal Chief. Hello. Was curious for your thoughts on something. I couldn't help but notice on WWE Unreal, we did not see very much of Roman Reigns. Every other star, even those not featured, like Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, appeared in guerrilla scenes, congratulating each other and generally baby-facing around, but we never see Roman Reigns in any of these scenes. I wonder if this is intentional, and it reminds me of your comparing his character to Michael Jordan. Jordan doesn't babyface around with the other players after a game, neither does Roman. Anyway, I thought it was interesting that he protects his character in this way and was wondering if you saw it the same way. Everything counts. Matt, I noticed it. I saw it the exact same way. I didn't equate it with Michael Jordan, but I absolutely agree with you and equate it with Michael Jordan now. I think that the whole Roman Reigns character is Michael Jordan in 96, 97, where it's like he's above it all. Like the rest of you guys are doing Unreal. Even John Cena, the rest of you guys are doing Unreal. I don't do that. The rest of you guys are watching each other's matches in Guerrilla. I don't do that. Roman Reigns, more than any other star in professional wrestling, that character is about one thing, and it's standing on business. What is my business here? What am I doing here? What is my purpose here? I'm going to complete my purpose. I'm going to make my money. I'm going home to my family. I'm going to set this up so the rest of you can succeed. I'm going to draw the house. I'm going to do what I need to do to draw that house, and then I'm leaving. And you guys can enjoy what I've done for you. Try to perform on my level. I think 100%. I think it was 100% intentional that Roman was not on that show, and I don't know if that's specifically WWE going, don't shoot Roman, or if that's Roman going, you know what? I'm not going to be where the cameras are. I'm not hanging out and go, oh, there's cameras in Gorilla now? Cool, enjoy it. I'm not being in there. Unless Netflix wants to pay me to be the face of Unreal, I'm not just going to be another one of these guys. I truly believe that's at least how I read into it. Everything counts. Cam Media writes in, this is on behalf of my friend Laud Dweez, predicted a Brock Lesnar return. And he got it right. Yes. Question, what's the over-under on the number of times that Brock will send John Cena to Suplex City in a potential match at Clash in Paris? I mean, it'll be interesting. I think he might lose. That's true. I mean, you could get 2 John Cena Brock matches. The first one, Brock wins. The second one, Cena wins. I mean, it's potential. I don't think that we'll see. It's not going to be the same. I mean, if you're sitting there, they already did that. I guess they could run it back. They could pay tribute to the match at SummerSlam where Brock Lesnar just suplexes him up and down. But, I don't know what to expect from that match. let's see. Ben says, so are we not going to talk about two ties Lyra? She didn't bring her wings and now has Stockholm Syndrome. She's the anti-Houdini. I don't know. Listen, I will say that I noticed that Lyra did not get them wangs out at SummerSlam. I thought that was very interesting. No wangs at SummerSlam. And you could say, well, maybe she didn't want to travel to New Jersey with the wangs. Well, then how did Xavier Woods get that big hat into Brooklyn? East Coast is East Coast. Avik writes in, what's the haps from London? Where do you see Jade going from here after the loss? Plus, who will beat Solo for the U.S. title? Hopefully Jimmy. No, I think eventually Jacob will. Jimmy's not positioned. You don't go, well, if Jacob can't beat him, maybe Jimmy will. I mean, Jacob's positioned to be the guy. So I think eventually Jacob will. And as far as Jade goes, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just she moves on to the next story. And, you know, it's a Charlotte Flair situation. Jade told Charlotte she needed to move to the back of the line. Maybe it's time for Jade to move to the back of the line. Maybe it's time for her to regroup, you know. I don't know if it's Bianca Belair. I don't know who it is. But I think Jade will go to whatever the next story is and, you know, maybe eventually get her way back to the championship. You know, you talk about the U.S. title. Maybe that's where Jade goes to. Maybe we start seeing Julia and Jade kind of duke it out over that United States championship. That wouldn't shock me. Mark writes in, and he says this. 5, 2! Happy SummerSlam, my PTC. I've been off recovering from shoulder surgery and questions pop up in my brain. Okay, I hope you're doing well. Years ago in the 1980s, when I first started watching WWE, there were a lot of managers. Bobby the Brain, Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, Mr. Fuji. Now there only seems to be one, Paul Heyman, maybe Kiana James with Julia. By the way, I think they should define Kiana James. I think Kiana James should be Julia's publicist. I think she should say, I am Julia's publicist. I think she should cut a promo in the ring so that relationship gets defined. Because right now that relationship has not been defined. I think it's confusing to people. I think it should be defined, and that Kiana James should explain who she is and why she's there in a way that makes it also clear that Julia is a heel now. Because I don't think that that's been defined. What happened? It seems like factions have replaced them. As always, I acknowledge you, my PTC. Well, no, I mean, I think factions are big right now, but managers had gone away quite a while ago. You know, I don't know. I just think in a world where, like, so many wrestlers cut their own promos, it got to a point where they felt unnecessary and to a degree felt like a relic of the past. You know, I think that's a big thing. It's like figuring out how to do a manager that doesn't feel like a throwback is probably the art. And I think that when it's not necessary, it's just not necessary. So, you know, I think that's kind of where managers went. Tyler writes in, would you like to see Braun Bronson as Raw Tag Team Champions? In my opinion, it could rejuvenate the division. Not really, because right now they're competing in, you know, kind of main event type matches. Like I don't think so. You know, while Seth was gone, Braun Breaker was being set up as the leader of this thing. Braun Breaker's being set up as next in line for World Heavyweight Championship. So, you know, no, I don't think that they should be in there because theoretically, I think that you know, that it would distract them from what they're actually doing. And they wouldn't ever be able to lose them, I don't think. They shouldn't anyway. Zach writes in, shout out to the OPTC. Yeah, shout out to me indeed. I've been listening to this podcast since the emergency podcast after the Elimination Chamber this year because I too had feelings and I needed an outlet. That's amazing. Welcome. After SummerSlam, you know who else after Elimination Chamber decided that they like to listen to the podcast?
We're long gaming, Sam. And by the way, I hear you on your podcast. You said a lot of things.
The Rock. That's right. The final boss. Let's see. After SummerSlam, my question is, do you think John Cena's heel run ended up being seen as a failed experiment and they decided to pull the plug, or was SummerSlam always intended to be the end so he can have the last 4 months of the year to be a babyface and have fun matches? I don't know how many people agree, but I was fully enjoying his heel run and his WWE Championship reign. I was really disappointed when both came to an end. Maybe it's too early to tell either way. Maybe there's still some payoff with The Rock coming, and who knows where the Brock Lesnar story is going to go. Would love to hear your opinion on this. Well, I don't think that it's just this is a failure, we have to stop this. Because it'd be tough to call it a failure when the reality is that it sold a lot of tickets. It got a lot of people interested. Like, failure is such like a hard word. This failed. I mean, I don't think it lived up to what it could have been, but I think that has a lot to do with, never really getting payoffs that we thought that we were going to get. That said, those payoffs could still come. I do think that it was jarring how quickly the turn happened. But, I just, I don't, I don't know that, when you say, was it always intended to be this way? I don't think anything is, the idea that in February, anything was planned for SummerSlam, I don't think is true. I think that the way the WWE tells stories is they do have long-term plans. But at the same time, they have to make decisions when it's time to make decisions. Do I think that this was a last-minute decision? No, I do not. I think that when Cody beat up John Cena and made him sign the contract, that this is where they were going. I think from at least 3 weeks ago, from at least the time that Cody took John Cena out at the contract signing, because Cody takes John Cena out, then he cuts the promo asking for the old John Cena, then John Cena obliges. So I think at least from that first step, they said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have you turn, and we're going to do it the SmackDown before SummerSlam. So, yeah, I mean, at least since Saturday night's main event, I believe this. I believe, based on the way I watched the show, that this must have been the plan. So that's as much as I can really say based on where the show's at. But ultimately, I do think it was the right call. And it really, I'm glad that it happened for this match, because it improved this match greatly. They had their classic, and it was amazing. Luke from Maryland writes in, first and foremost, I would like to acknowledge my OPTC. Second, I believe it is worthwhile to request, can we please get a button for Dirty Dom to properly celebrate one of, if not the greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time. If I can get it clean, I'll go back to watch Raw. If I can get that clean, then I will. But he is just goated. Okay, this is a little bit of a long one, but I'll do it. I'll hear it out. I've been listening to you for a good part of a decade. See? Some of you guys have been listening for like a few months. Some of you guys have been listening for 10 years. We're in October, it'll be 11 years that this show has been on every single week for 11 years. I don't know that we've ever missed a week, which is nuts. You'll always be the last professional broadcaster, Sammy Brand Muffins, OPTC, and I acknowledge you. That's very nice, Brandon. Like all of us, I've been thinking about Cena's final match. And I have two ideas that I think would fit perfectly. One of these scenarios begin with Cena having his moment in the ring, saying goodbye to the fans, thanking them for everything, and saying this will be his final match. He will then tell the audience that the best part, he doesn't even know who the match is against. He then states that he will be doing an open challenge like he's done so many times in the past and yells, if you want some, come get some. Well, I think that he would have to announce this well in advance. I think that it would have to be advertised. John Cena will have an open challenge. I don't have any problem with the idea that John Cena's final match is an open challenge, but I do think that it wouldn't make sense for him to just say it that night. I think it would be like, hey, I'm cutting a promo on Raw, and at Saturday night's main event or wherever it is, it'll be my final match, and I'm bringing back the John Cena open challenge. Option A, the lights go down and we hear You Think You Know Me. Edge returns to the WWE. Don't hit me with the Edge thing. And like, unless you are a lawyer and know his contract status, like this is going back to the years on the show that we weren't allowed to fantasy book Randy Orton. Don't fantasy book Edge returning to the WWE. We don't know his contract status. Option B, lights go down again. The open challenge. I believe in Joe Hendry. Come on, dude. I don't. The idea of passing the torch to Joe Hendry, like I love Joe Hendry, but like there's so much that we could do with this. I just don't like to have like a fun, goofy end to John Cena. Does not work for me. I love Joe Hendry, and I think there are other things we could do with Joe Hendry, but not that. Tony from Green Bay asks, "Can I get a?" Well, yeah, he wants this.
I love you, Solo.
Do you think that the next season of WWE Unreal, if they have one, will go through how WWE brought Brock Lesnar back? I sure hope so. Well, look, they said there were new episodes coming next year. At the end of this season, it said new episodes coming next year. There are a lot of cameras around. So I would love if that were the case. I mean, you talk about an amazing Unreal season. If you tell me that next year, the episodes that we are going to get on WWE Unreal are why Travis Scott disappeared and how we got Brock Lesnar back, I mean, forget about it. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. I'll stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning to watch them as soon as they drop on Netflix. Are you kidding me? Keep exposing the business. This is amazing television. I think that would be great. Amazing. Carson writes in, or is that Kaysen? Sam, I listened to your episode on Saturday night. You talked about making a top 10 list of best cash-ins. Are you ready to reveal it? No. No, I don't have that list ready. I've had too much to do. I've been very busy. Very busy. Last email of the day. Let's see what we got. Larry writing in. Hello, my OPTC. Hope the family is well. Congrats on your recent expansion and success. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. My question is in regards to Karrion Kross. In the Night 2 post-show, the fans were chanting, "We want Kross." Triple H turns and says, "You want Brock, you've got him." It was very clear they were chanting. Karrion himself even posted the clip on social media and at the end said TikTok, especially after the nothing burger of a story that was him and Sami in their match at SummerSlam. Do you see WWE releasing Kross? I mean, look, first of all, it wasn't a nothing burger. It was Sami Zayn's story. Sami Zayn overcame. Like, we got a full end of that story. It was a beginning, middle, end of a story. So it wasn't a nothing burger story. It wasn't Karrion Kross's story. It was Sami Zayn's story. Second of all, as far as that Triple H thing goes, if you listen to the clip, it's Peter Rosenberg who first says, "You got him." And then Triple H says, "Yeah, you want him, you got him." So Peter Rosenberg's not in on the work. That's not how, this works. So, I believe fully that sitting out there on that podium, Triple H with earbuds in because he's listening to producers, everybody on that podium has their ears blocked, thought they were saying, "We want Brock." Because Peter also thought they were saying, "We want Brock," and acknowledged it. So once Peter says, "Yeah, is that what they're changing? Brock? Okay, yeah, you got Brock." So, I don't think that they put Karrion Kross on SummerSlam. They promoted his book on the pre-show. I don't think that you do those two things if you're trying to pretend he doesn't exist on the post-show. If you don't want Karrion Kross to exist on the post-show, don't put him on the pre-show and the main show. So the idea that that was not just a misunderstanding, to me, is illogical. It doesn't, you can't make sense unless you're being, speculating, conspiratorial, and that's all fine and fun, but it doesn't otherwise make sense. Rumors are his contract's coming up. I would hope that they're not letting his contract come up. I think that, we know what the fan reaction will be. We saw what happened with R-Truth. They have put him on the last 2 pay-per-views, so, no is the short answer, but I really have no idea. We'll have to wait and see on that. I appreciate all you guys hanging out today. Don't forget to subscribe, audio platforms, video platforms, the whole deal. And we will see you again here on Notsam Wrestling really soon and have updates throughout the week, both on the audio feed and the video feed. We'll see you later.